welcome back to another episode of Between Us Girlies. I'm Lindsay.
I'm Bailey.
I'm Casey.
And I'm Bran.
And we are so excited to be back with you for another week yet again. Let's talk about what we did this weekend.
Yeah, how was everybody's weekend?
Well,
Good.
it could have been better. Me and Queen Bailey decided every single month we do this thing called a little BGD, a Black Girl Dinner. And our friend Tara, follow at the Philly Food Blog, she posted this place called Umai.
I want to try theirs so
Umai,
bad.
They have these little eel crackers, like tuna rice crackers, but eel. And I said to Bailey, we will be going there. The issue is, it was 19 degrees. So our black asses stayed inside and we watched the School of Rock.
Yes.
It was the snowiest weekend we've had in like years, I feel like.
Yeah. And I felt like productive this weekend. Like I reorganized my room, my apartment. I cleaned, got rid of shit I didn't need. It felt so good. Yeah, we watched School of Rock, which is so good. I love Jack Black.
Mm-hmm. That is a classic
so funny.
movie.
I was just giggling the whole time because I was like, it's just so cute and funny. Old school classic.
Brandon, how was your weekend?
Very tame. I do need to give a shout out. I posted about this on TikTok and Instagram, but for any of our listeners. So Friday it snowed in Philadelphia and I had no groceries in my fridge last week. We got back from Miami on Sunday. I did not check the weather like an idiot. The first snowstorm hit Monday. Didn't go to the grocery store. It was so icy. I didn't want to walk to the grocery store, so I just ordered out the whole week. Friday comes around, and I knew I should have gone grocery shopping on Thursday. But what did I do? I put it off. So Friday, I'm like, damn, it's snowing again, whatever. I'll order Walkworks because it's right across the street from me.
Yes.
Before I can even initiate the order, the owner's wife, her name is Sam. She listens to the podcast. Sam, we absolutely love you. Texts me. She's like, do you want anything from Walk today? I'm thinking you can have a cozy luncheon. Just so thoughtful. Brings over a giant bag of food. And it was just so nice. It literally brought tears to my eyes, how thoughtful that was of her to just think of me and consider me. Adore her so much. I have a promo code BRANFLAKES with Juiciest. If you order on Toast Tab from the Fishtown location, 15% off pickup or delivery.
I did use it.
And it is worth every penny you will spend on that place.
It saved me so much, and it was a lot cheaper than DoorDash I usually use. I mean, obviously I was going to use your code, but I was like, damn, I got more stuff than I usually do. So thank you, Bran Flakes code.
Of course.
Wow.
So Friday, I really didn't do anything. Did we stay in on Friday? I didn't go out the whole weekend. I think we watched Desperate Housewives on Friday, me and
Josue
Lindsay.
and I fell asleep.
Yeah, Lindsay and Josue passed out. Oh, wait, I'm lying. I went to Liberty Grounds on Friday, which I'd never been before. It's an indoor mini golf and food. I did not expect the food to be so good.
Wow.
And the mini golfing was so fun. It's all Philly themed. So there's an
that's
art
cute.
museum hole. There's one with the flyer. What's the name of the Flyers guy?
Gritty.
Yeah, Gritty.
Brandon, you need to know that.
I'm sorry. I always get him and the Philly Fanatics confused.
What?
My
They
fault.
have similar aesthetic.
Two
Cut
big
that
folk.
part.
All right, whatever. Anyway, but yeah, so Liberty Ground's really fun. And then I was really excited to watch Desperate Housewives all night. But Lindsay and Josue, my boyfriend, fell asleep within 2 seconds. So whatever. Then Saturday, I was going to do something. And I had to be like, hey, Linz, could I maybe crash you and Bailey's movie night? Because I also don't want to go out. And Josue, my boyfriend, was out drinking. But I was like, I'm good. I'm still in Miami, rebound. So yeah, I didn't do anything, but it was nice. It was relaxing.
Cute.
But this weekend's gonna get freaky, y'all.
Yeah.
Freaky.
I feel like we should talk about what's coming because this will air on Wednesday. So if anybody wants Thursday night plans, the four of us will be going to Eli Rallo's book tour. It's at City Winery Thursday night. I definitely want to have some wine with y'all, meet everybody. So we're really excited for that. And the other guest for the show, it's myself who's going to be a guest star, and Carly Weinstein. She'll be visiting us this weekend, and I'm so excited to take her out. So we will be out on the town on Friday. So if you see us, say hi, let's party. Okay, I'm done now. Casey, how was your weekend?
Same kind of vibe. I had a very chill weekend, but Sunday, so for context, my boyfriend's, one of his birthday presents to me was a couples massage because he was like, you always complain about your back and your neck. I think you need to go. Yeah. He put a lot of thought into it. The problem is that I have anxiety. So a lot of sisters who listen and have anxiety will relate to the fact that sometimes your anxiety just ruins things before you even get a chance to enjoy it. I told you guys a week ago, I knew I was going to have anxiety with this because I'm not really good at the one-on-one service environment. When I go get my hair done, I'm always am I sitting the right way? Am I being annoying? Am I a good guest? It's just anxiety. I just get so in my head. So I cannot enjoy one-on-one moments like that. I like decided that I can't pay to relax. I want to relax. I need to sit at home and do it myself. I cannot pay for a scenario to make me relax. But I wanted to be a good sport. So I went to this couples massage and I was like, you know what? In order to enjoy it, I'm going to eat an edible. Well, that was a very bad idea because as soon as we got there, the edible hit and we got into the back room and I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. Like I was freaking out. I was like so nervous. And yeah, it was just, so they like separate us into like the little like girls locker room and boys locker room. And they're like, oh, we'll come get you for the couples massage and you'll walk back to like the room together. So beforehand, Jake specifically put that he wanted like 2 girls to give us a massage because he knew I would just be like so anxious. Yeah. He knew I'd be so anxious if I had a guy. So I'm sitting in the room and this man walks in. He's like, Casey? And I was like, I look up and he's like, oh, I'm going to be your massage therapist. And I was like, oh my God.
Was he hot?
No, he was like a short little like.
Sorry, I'm into you.
No, he was like he was really nice, but he was so timid and I was like freaking the fuck out. So we're like walking back to the room and I like turn to Jake and I'm like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do this. Like I'm freaking out. And it's like a really nice thing about Jake. But unfortunately, when I tell him I'm anxious, he goes into like bear mode. Like he's like, I will do anything to make you not anxious. So we get back into the room and it's like this peaceful, like serene. They have like a waterfall playing and Jake's like, we paid for 2 girls and there's a guy in here. And Jake is just loud and big and he did not mean to seem so rude, but he came off so aggressive and I was so nervous. So I was just like, I'm okay with like whatever they're, and this couple must have thought that Jake like literally is like an alpha male and I'm just like a submissive little bitch because I could not talk. I was so nervous. I'm like, it's fine. She was like, oh, we don't have 2 women. Like, he's the only other massage therapist, whatever. So we lay down. I'm trying to enjoy it. It was an hour and 20-minute massage, first of all.
You're so lucky.
So it was a long-ass fucking massage.
Wow.
I would say 30 minutes in, I finally was able to relax. That man grew 6 hands. Like, yes. I have no idea how he massaged me the way that he did. When he was massaging my feet, I actually, like, sat up and turned around because I didn't know, like, what part of his body he was using to massage me. It was actually crazy. I had so much anxiety.
Where did you go?
In Jersey. It was called, like, something with an S. It was, like...
I would like to see it.
Yeah, it wasn't, like, the world's best massage. He was definitely, like, very timid and, like, I was also super anxious. But it was just like I felt so bad because Jake was so excited to give me that present, and I like was fighting through the anxiety the whole time. Damn. So that was my Sunday, and then I like was really high for the whole rest of the day, so I didn't do anything else. Yeah. But
that's crazy. When I got a massage, we're such opposites. So like I requested a male. I was like, I need a male because y'all know I love getting my back rubbed.
You need like a lot of extra strength.
Yes, my back is broken, all vertebrae. And so I was like, I need a young man to get up in there. But I'm like a freak. So so different at one point. I'm like, is this going to turn into something? But I was like,
that's what I said. I was like, you're not crazy for thinking that because like the music was kind of right. And it's like, you're all like, it's a very like sensual experience, which is why doing it with Jake, I was like, oh, I want a girl. So it's not crazy to be like, oh, like, it's a very normal thing. Did they say
like, oh, we don't have any girls available?
Yeah, she was like, oh, we're so sorry. Like, he's the only massage therapist we have. And Jake like pay. I don't know if it was like a pay extra, but you like click before you
it's a
submit. Yeah, so it was just like
a lot of money,
they should have told you
for
that.
an hour and 30.
Yeah, but Jake had this little petite ass girl and she beat the fuck out of him. We got done and I was like, oh, that was really nice. And he was like, you enjoyed that? He was like, that hurt. So he got the shit beat out of him, but that was my weekend.
Marvelous.
Any other weekend highlights, Bailey, Lindsay?
No. All the days are blending together from being honest.
True.
No, so for real.
Like, I don't even know what movies I watched. I don't remember what I did Friday. I knew I like got high and fell asleep, but like to what movie, I don't know.
I'm looking forward to having fun this weekend.
Yeah.
We'll have a lot to discuss.
So we don't really have that much going on in our lives, so we decided we were going to focus on a certain topic this week, one that in all 10 episodes so far, we've like really not addressed, which I think is like shocking, which we'll get into why that's so surprising. But let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about sex.
Nice pipes, Tamika.
So we asked you guys to ask us any questions that you had about sex, tell us any crazy hookup stories. And if you're listening, you're like, I don't remember being asked this, make sure you're following us on Instagram at Between Us Girlies, Between Us Girlies Pod. So I wanted to start off and talk about casual sex because we had a lot of questions coming in, which I feel like are typical questions. What's your take on casual sex? Have you ever had a one-night stand? What do you do on a first date? Is sex on a first date okay? So does anyone want to start off, maybe share a little story or give their stance on casual sex and all that may be? I know, Lindsay, you are not really a casual sex person. You're more of like relationships. Maybe dive into like why that is, what works for you. I feel like a little sex therapist.
I know you're gonna. I wish you had like little tiny glasses on.
Yeah. I feel like there's a suit somewhere.
I feel like my whole life, everyone who's listened already knows this. I've always had like a boyfriend or like a special male friend. So I've always kind of been attached to one person. So I've never, like, I don't think I'm capable of having like casual sex with somebody because I feel like I'd be so uncomfortable. Like, do I have to shave? Like, did I shower enough? Like, is this person a weirdo? Do I look fat? Like, it's like I just feel weird. Like, I like to know someone before I see their butt cheeks. But yeah, I feel like it can be so fun. Like, I love hearing about my friends' stories with like casual sex, and like I've definitely done it before, but it's not really my thing. The last time I did that, I was fresh out of college, and honestly, it was really funny. This person who Brandon and I went to high school with, he became an essential part of my life. And I thought I was going to date him because I was like, I think I love him, but I actually didn't at all. Like, none whatsoever.
What's his name?
You know, there's nothing wrong with that young man. I hope he's having a great day. We are not going to expose him.
So wait, is that like another part of casual sex that you don't like? You think you'll get it like attached to them?
I convince myself because I think it's really special, which like sounds so corny. Like, you're supposed
that's
to
cute.
Yeah, that's not corny.
I like my brain will tell me like this person means everything to you, and that was a mistake that I made where I was like, oh, I'm gonna get invested. So I don't do it, but I admire those who can. Mm-hmm. You need to play the field sometimes. See what you like.
Yeah, I feel like for me, I'm the single girl, as y'all know.
You just rubbed your thighs. Like,
did I? I honestly disassociated for like 5 seconds. Glad I was here. Back to the subject. I feel like in college, I feel like casual sex was very big. I feel like it was present a lot then. I think for me, complete opposite. I like can just like, I don't get the feelings. I just know it's there for like transaction. I sound like a whore.
No, you
don't. But like for me, like in college, like 10 years ago, maybe not. But I feel like it was just very transactional. I didn't get those feelings. And I feel like nowadays, I feel like I'm just still like kind of playing the field, but I'm also not like just fucking anyone. Like I think because I did that in college, I was like, I take a step back. I'm like, oh, like I know what that's like. I know what that one night stand is like. And like, I don't have time for that. I'm about to be 30. And I feel like nowadays, if I'm like gonna hook up with someone, I'm hooking up with them from a long time, or we're like dating or seeing each other for a while. I mean, I'll get a boyfriend soon, but I feel like that's just how I see sex nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like it's so. Honesty is like so important when it comes to that. Like you guys have two, not like very different. You're just like look at things differently, and it's like I don't know. I think any way you view sex or casual sex or not casual sex is like. If you're okay with it and your partner's okay with it, then like that's fine. If you are like, I'm gonna go have sex with the first person that looks at me tonight, if that's what makes you happy and you're comfortable with that, go do it. And if you're like, oh, I want to find someone special, like I feel like we try so hard, not like we as a group, but like society tries so hard to like make everything make sense. And it's like, I feel like sex is the one thing that doesn't really need to make sense to everyone.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's also something that a lot of people are concerned about where they should just mind their business. Like, it's such a weird topic to even discuss because it's like you don't want to like, oh my God, it's like we're talking about this. But like it should be so normalized. I think that's what makes our friend group really special because I feel like we can literally talk about this and it's not like, oh my God, ew, or oh, that's so gross, or like you're a whore. It's like it's just girlies living life.
Exactly. And like if you like having sex and another person likes having sex, have sex together. That's how I kind of see like casual sex, if you will, like two consenting adults that enjoy being physical and like a passionate love making. I don't know. It's just so fun. But like, it's just beautiful. Like sex is a thing. Like, hey, I didn't make it up. You know?
Do you feel like you feel any differently, Brandon, because you're not a girl?
Yeah. So growing up, like as a homosexual, I had to quickly learn that I couldn't compare myself to my girlfriends and honestly any of my straight friends. Like I didn't come to terms with my identity until I was 17. And then by that point, like, where a lot of people my age had already lost their virginity and had multiple sexual experiences, like, I was just like starting to experiment. So like, it's harder to find people to date in the gay community. So I kind of had to become comfortable with the idea of not necessarily like casual sex, but like experimenting, knowing that there might not be a label behind it or might not turn into a label. And I don't regret like anything. I think that's kind of just like the way it went for me. I'm sure other gay people have had different experiences. Like you said, sex is not like a straightforward experience for everyone. But something I've talked about before is I had a whore phase for sure. Summer 2021. Whew, that was a time. And I don't regret that at all. I understand that like people like Lindsay, that's never going to be for them, and that's fine. For me, having a quote unquote whore phase wasn't about like a lack of respect for myself or anything. It was just like a fun, carefree phase for me that like in a weird way like built confidence for me, like sexual confidence, where I like felt like, and maybe that's toxic in some ways, where it's not that I like felt validation, but like it kind of was like, oh wow, like I got it. Like people are interested in me. Like I'm attractive to certain people. And when you grow up, especially like me thinking like my attractions were deviant and wrong, like it kind of really helped me. So if you're having a whore phase or you've had one, embrace it, pop off.
I feel like it's well
and you
said.
know what? Also, this is really weird. Sorry, Mom. But my mom told me something that's always stuck with me. And she said, you need a practice boyfriend. And I was like, what's a practice boyfriend? She's like, somebody who you know is not for the long time, but for the good time. You learn about yourself. You learn about what you like. You learn about how different people see you. You get to feel that feeling of like, I feel attractive to this person, or like those types of things. So it's like, there's nothing wrong with having that type of experience. Like everyone needs a practice person or a few.
I feel like it's actually like the most selfish time you can be in like a good way. Like not selfish in a negative, selfish in like this is my, like you're saying, this is my summer. This is my time. When you're like in your single casual era, like it's actually like the best selfish thing you can do for yourself.
Yeah. And I think the weird thing about me and the relationship I'm in now, like, it started as a hookup, and it's so funny when I hear people on podcasts are always like, you can have sex on the first date, but like it typically like fizzles out. Like we wouldn't recommend it. And honestly, I kind of do agree with that. Like I would give people relationship advice. Like if you can avoid it, you know, don't do it on the first date. I didn't have a date with my boyfriend. We met at a bar in a restaurant, waiting in line for the bathroom. One thing led to another. Sorry, Josue, I'm throwing out our business. We hooked up the first night. I knew the kid for 3 hours and boom, intercourse. And a week after, I was like, okay, like that might have been a one-night stand. It might have been something casual. A week after, same thing. He met me and Bailey at a bar, went home together, hooked up. And then after that, we just like talked in the morning, and he was like, do you want to come over for dinner this week? And I was like, whoa, okay, sure, why not? So
so cute.
Things like can stem from casual hookups. Like I'm not trying to like tell everybody to go fuck whoever you want. It's going to turn into your boyfriend. It a lot of the times didn't. I had to go play the field a few times before I found the right one. But it can, and that worked for me the same way it might not have worked for Lindsay. And that's what I think everyone we want to like remind, like these are our experiences and they don't need to work for you. But I think that's what brings me to my next topic is like, we're in a very sex positive friend group where like all four of us have different, you know, sexual attractions to people, different experiences, different tastes, and we're all really good listeners. Like I've always said, like, I could not be a close friend with someone that I felt like was judging me when I was like talking about sex. I also like, I love a good story. I love sitting down at a public restaurant, chewing into some chips and guac, and you're telling me about the hookup you had last night. Like, let's go. With those people, no shade to them, who are like, oh no, I don't want to hear anything like that. Like, I personally can't be close to people like that. I'm like, no, give me the details. I'm an oversharer to my core.
Right.
So I think it's important to like surround yourself with people that like don't make you feel shameful, don't make you feel like gross or anything like that. I don't know if you guys have anything like to add or.
I feel like sharing your stuff, you can get feedback, you can learn stuff as well. And like if you're having a problem, maybe Lindsay has the same problem too.
Yeah.
I even know like in college, like we would go to like my sorority, we would have sex toy parties.
Yeah.
And I felt like even that, just being like with my sorority sisters, I was a freshman, these girls I like barely even knew. I'm like, oh, fun. Like that, like sex is so open. It was just such a nice, like, I'm like, wow, it's like a Mary Kay party, but for sex toys. I'm like, I had no idea this was a thing, but it brings people together and just talking about something that's so natural and you're just a human being.
Do those still go on? Because I would like to host one.
I believe so. I get the emails and my girl Lauren at
Forward me those.
I forgot what it is. Yeah, I got you.
But yeah, I feel like as being in a sex positive friend group, like you just have, like you said, like you're so much more confident to talk about things with people. And like, I don't know, you can like, I feel like because growing up, sex is kind of like a shameful thing. And then once you finally like find your own voice, sometimes you don't want to talk to, like you want to talk to other people about this thing that you've been so afraid of. So it's like nice to be in this friend group where we've like also supported each other through every phase, through all of our single phases, through relationships, through failed relationships. Like it's when you have those people that you can share every kind of stage with, that's like special.
Have you guys ever had sex on a first date?
Me and Jake had hooked up like the second time we met the first night, and then like I was drunk. We met on a Wednesday, and Saturday I was drunk and texted him. I was like, "Oh, you should come meet me at this bar." And
Period.
that was the first time we talked. 2 years later.
I have, and I think that on a first date you can feel something out. Like if you have a really like intense sexual attraction to someone on a date, but maybe you don't like fully see like a relationship out of them. If they're kind of, like Bailey said, two consenting adults, if they're kind of giving you that sexual energy back and you're like, I don't really care if this turns into anything, and you like don't think you're going to catch feelings, which I know you can't always predict, I think it's okay. And I think that it often leads to like dating. I don't know. I wasn't on a date with my boyfriend. We were just casually hooking up. I don't think there's like a right or wrong answer, but I think it's okay to go on a date thinking maybe I want to date this person, then on the date being like, I definitely don't want to date them, but I feel attracted to them and I would hook up with them.
So I feel like you can tell that real quick.
I feel like, so after like a few things, I like this was like one of the first times I did this. I downloaded one of the apps, and I was living at home, and I remember Brandon and I would like always laugh about these. We would scroll through the photos together and whatever. And this guy messaged me and he's like, "Oh, I actually know you from like over the summer down the shore." And I was like, "Oh my God, hi." And I like met him after like having several drinks, but I thought nothing of it. And I was like, "Wait, I think I still have your phone number. Like you can text me." So he texted me, we like made plans to hang out, and we went out, and I had the funnest first date with this guy. He was so cute. He was so nice. Like, I hope he's having a great day. And we like really hit it off. And Brandon actually had to force me to go on a date with this guy. He was like, "You need to go." And I was like, "I don't want to go." And he's like, "You have to." And I was really happy that I did it. And I was definitely really attracted to him the first date. But I was like, again, in my own head, I was like, do not hook up with this guy. So I didn't. I went out with him 2 more times, and I started noticing things about us that were very different. Not even like an ick. There's absolutely nothing wrong with him. It was just like we were kind of on 2 different pages with what we wanted. And I'm really glad that I didn't hook up with him, because it would have given like him the wrong idea. So I was just really like, setting those boundaries sometimes can be a really good thing, even if you want to, because he is a cutie. But like, I just was, that was my choice.
Good job, Lindsay.
Thank you.
That is true. No, that's a good point that I should have mentioned too. Like, obviously, like, even if you think you can't catch feelings, like maybe consider the other person too and have boundaries. But I do think like a first date, it's like a temperature check, an interview, if you will. Like, go with the flow and just see like what you're feeling like during the date, because obviously everyone's always so nervous, and then I feel like the after the date is so overthinking everything, like, did they like me, all this stuff. But like in the midst of it, like, make up your mind on like what you want to like maybe have your next move. Do you want to go out to another place for more drinks, or do you want to go home, or do you want to invite them to your home? Feel it out. So obviously we've talked about how it's really important to be in a sex positive friend group, but how was sex for everyone treated like when you were growing up? Casey, I know you've like talked about your experience before, if you want to share.
My mom is the most sex positive woman you will ever meet. I like remember thinking like sex was so normal growing up. And sex just covering like everything involving that, like actual relationship sex, like the female body. Like I remember when I was younger, when you get curious as a little girl and you look up playboy.com or boobs into Google, I was with my friend in like, I don't even know, like 5th grade. And we like looked up playboy.com. I will never forget. And of course we were like fucking 10 years old. So we didn't know how to like delete the search history. So her mom found it. And I spent the night, and her mom like was so upset and had this huge talk with us. My mom came to pick us up the next morning, and my mom, she's like, "Could I talk to you for a second?" And she tells my mom, and we get into the car. My mom's like, "So what'd you see? Were you curious about it? How did it make you feel?" Like, she didn't yell at me at all. She was just like genuinely asking like what I saw, what I thought of it. I remember like using my Barbie dolls, and that's how she taught me about sex, like showing me what the Ken and the Barbie do. Like, it gave me a really open relationship, and then I was really comfortable to like tell her. Like, I remember the like night I lost my virginity, I like told my mom, which like I feel like it's not a common experience, but it was just like, I don't know. I think that's how I want to raise my kids, is like let them know they can be very comfortable in their own bodies.
I love that.
Yeah. Shout out to my mom.
Oh, that's beautiful. I had such a different one. I mean, you went to Catholic school too, but you had a mom to tell you about sex. I feel like in my household, it was just, I remember from a very young age, it was, if you have sex and get pregnant, you will not live in this house.
Oh my God.
So, yeah, that was that. And I went to Catholic school from preschool to 12th grade. So I was also an altar girl, but I mean, like, beliefs and all that stopped around like 7th grade, to be honest. So, and like, I also like just was like, I also developed at 10. So like I started growing boobs at the age of 10 and 11. So like, I was like, all these hormones, I was like Casey, I'm like, I want to see what's going on in the world. So like kids do Google, blah, blah, blah. However, my mom, I wrote whatever I found down on a sticky note and left it next to the family computer. That's how my mom found out about what I was looking at on the internet, but like it was just never spoken of. So I think it was probably until college when I took a sex education class, I actually learned about like sex and like everything. I feel like I wasn't taught in Catholic school because it was pretty much just the anatomy of the body. That's it.
So shameful.
Just, yeah, I didn't learn about so much until college, which is so wild to me.
And that's how people have unhealthy sex, by the way, is when it's shameful, and like the way we learned it in Catholic school is like, I don't know, you just develop a bad relationship with it.
Yeah.
I had a different one than both of you, this is an interesting one, but how Casey went to her mom about those things, I went to my dad. And that's a hot take. I know that most like young girls don't talk to their dads about that kind of stuff.
Or just don't talk to them.
You know what? But he was very like, I don't want my kid to be a teen mom. Like, I know that is what my dad has always thought. And my dad grew up in a space where like that was a common thing. So he would always ask me like, are you being smart? Are you being safe? Do you need to talk about anything? That's okay. And then in college, I had a little hiccup. And I actually was with child during my college graduation. And I tried to mitigate that situation without telling anybody about it. And at that time, I was grown and sexy. I didn't need to hide anything from my parents. I was an adult. But that was my business. And I ended up having some complications with that. And there was a letter that was sent home to my house through Planned Parenthood where I owed them. I received some money back, but I had a balance for something else. And my dad calls me and he's like, hey, you have a bill from Dr. Anderson. And I thought he was kidding because my last name is Anderson. I was like, Dad, I don't have a Dr. Anderson. He's like, no, you do. You have it. It's, well, I'll just show it to you when you get home. And he handed me this letter and it said like fetal ultrasound on the letter. And I was like, oh my God. And I just started crying. And he gave me the biggest hug. I'm literally gonna cry. He gave me the biggest hug, and he's like, "This is why I vote for girls like you." Oh my God,
that's so beautiful.
And it was so sweet, and it like made me feel like so like supported and like safe. Oh my God, I'm literally crying.
Wait, is this your first tear on the podcast?
I feel like it is. It's so embarrassing, but like it was just like
no, that's
beautiful.
so beautiful.
it was so nice, and I felt so comfortable, and it was just like we need more super dads in the world.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh,
It's a moment like every girl is terrified of their entire life. The fact that you were able to have such a positive experience.
Yeah. My makeup's gonna look like crap. I'm ugly.
Not to mention at the time, like when we were growing up, 16 and Pregnant was such a big show. And I feel like teen pregnancy just boomed, especially around the age of when we were...
Secret Life, Juno.
Yeah.
Like, there were so
many things on TV, and we were at the preteen age, so it was very in our face. Yeah.
We also always, as a friend group, say we joke that we were raised by Jersey Shore, but we like legitimately were. Like in high school, that was like the biggest show we all watched, and I mean like the hashtags of the show were like DTF, and like it's all about sex. So it's like that. I'm sure that definitely played a little bit into like our like viewpoints on casual sex in college too.
Definitely.
They bought their outfits for a night out, for like a night out from sex stores. Like JWoww would literally go to the sex store, buy her outfit for the night, and go party in it.
Looked
I
crazy
understand.
too.
Anyway, Brian, what about you?
Mine was obviously, going back to me being gay, was a little complicated because there was a lot of feelings that I was having that I wasn't telling anybody, not family, not friends, whatever. But I think similarly to Casey, I was very curious. Like I didn't go on playboy.com, but like I was a big like no one's around, turn on HBO. Cause like back in the day, HBO was like
Shit was sick.
boobs like all the time.
Big boobs.
And I was like very curious, and I love my parents to death, but they could have used child locks more. They could have used there was no supervision in terms of I could have typed any website in. I could have typed anything in. I had full access to everything. And I knew all the tricks. I knew the private browsing trick. I knew how to delete things off a watch list.
Steve.
Yeah, like, so I definitely had my curiosity, but I never talked about it with my parents, not in a way where like they wouldn't have been there for me, but like I just didn't have that like relationship where I felt like comfortable, and it was more me. Like there's no blame on them. Like I was just like, I'd rather talk to you guys about it. Like kind of ask questions that I feel like my other friends were probably curious or maybe like learned. I felt more comfortable talking to them. But yeah, I don't know. I learned through like health class, exploring of my own, and you know, my own identity and everything.
And sex ed in college.
Yes.
If you can take a sex ed class in college, it was probably one of the best classes we've
best.
taken.
Fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned so much in that class.
Yeah, we took human sexuality. That's what it was called, and it was just such a better time to take that course rather than like high school going through puberty when you feel so awkward.
And everyone like
agree.
makes a joke of it. Like everyone was actually like kind of into it. Like I remember this one time we played a game where like you stand in the middle of the room and she would say like a kink or like something sexual, and you would go to like one side of the room based on how you felt about it. And like everyone took it so seriously. And I was like, wow, this is so fun.
Yeah, just adult discussions.
I do think our high school like did like a mid-level job. Like they didn't do an abstinence only program.
They didn't do abstinence at all. They told us to go get it. Like they told us how to take care of yourself, how to protect yourself, to the point where I was in a health class with my friend Sydney, and the two of us it was the most immature moments of my life. Like we would just, it was ridiculous. They were pretty much like, here's your birth control, here are your condos, go have a time.
I got my first attention in health class. Copied someone's homework.
In health class?
Yeah.
I appreciated that
It was
about
on
our
human
high
sex.
school.
It was on the human vagina too. Oh, now that I think about it, shit, whatever.
So we had you guys, the viewers, ask us questions or submit stories. So we're going to play a little game called Truth or Share, where we're going to go around and we're either going to share something of our own past based off a question someone of you might have asked us, or we're going to read one of yours. Let's start with questions. And I would love to hear the three of your take on this because I know this typically happens a lot. I hear with my girlfriends. But this person writes, I feel like it takes too long for me to climax during sex, or sometimes I don't climax at all. Do you have any tips? Is this normal?
It's completely normal.
So normal.
Yep.
It is very normal. I don't know the statistic of it, and I could be making this up, but like, I don't even know the statistic. But women don't come all the time.
There was, I don't know, not that same statistic, but there was one that like most women don't experience their first real orgasm until like 25.
Yeah.
Or like 25 to 30. So, and that's just your first one. That's just one singular orgasm. Like it is not normal for women to come every single time.
And that is through penetration, I mean. But I think a tip is just to get to know your own body. Explore down there, get a vibrator, get toys, use your fingers, use a mirror, and learn how to pleasure yourself and what makes your ticking time bomb boom, I suppose.
I love that.
I don't know why that came out of my mouth.
Okay, you sexologist.
Come on now.
Come on, Bailey.
And once you just know that, like for me personally, that's what I do. And I just, it's like that on a whim. But when I'm with a guy, you can, or a woman, female, whoever I identify, whatever, you can teach that person how to pleasure you in a way, or I don't know. I feel like that's,
Yeah, being comfortable and also like first, yours is the best advice. Like know yourself. And then second, I think like don't be afraid to be honest with your partner. Like if it's the right person, most of the time they either want to pleasure you or they're more turned on knowing that you enjoy it. So like it actually only benefits the both of you to be like super honest. And you don't have to be like, this is boring, stop. But you can be like, oh, what if we try this? Or would you, and I don't know, there's ways that you can spin it where like they would be thankful to know that you like it better some other kind of way.
You also don't have to be embarrassed to, like what Bailey was saying, to explore your own body. Like I have a few people in my life who are still really immature, and I'm saying that term lightly, but over like the use of like sex toys. You're not going to know anything about your body. Why wouldn't you want to have maximum sexual pleasure as an adult? Like your clock is ticking. You're not going to be alive forever. You might as well enjoy life while you can. Like,
yeah,
I think you shouldn't be embarrassed or like afraid to experiment or try different things that you're curious about. It's okay to be curious as an adult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Have you guys ever like told a partner to like maybe do something differently or?
Absolutely. Stop. like let's not do that. Like,
here's a question. Would you feel more comfortable telling a casual hookup to kind of do something, or would you feel more comfortable telling your partner? Because the thing with your partner is you would probably be more comfortable telling them, but also you don't want to hurt their feelings.
Right.
Whereas I feel like sometimes you don't really care about the person's feelings. Like I've point blank said during a hookup with someone I didn't really give a shit about, like, stop. Like, nope, you're done. Like this ain't working for me. Like I said it a lot more kind than that. But like sometimes when you really care about someone, you get anxious about having a conversation like that.
I think life is too short to have bad sex.
Yes.
So whether it's a casual hookup or even like a person you've been fucking for the past 3 years or whatever, it's just you want to be comfortable no matter what. Whenever you're driving, anything you do, you have to be comfortable. So I think in any given situation, just voice your opinion.
I feel like people want to know what they're doing incorrectly or what they're doing correctly. Like it's like that is like when you hook up with someone, it is such an intimate space as it is. Like anything is fair game. Anything that you bring up or say to them should be acceptable in that space. And I think if someone can't take the heat, they shouldn't be playing in the kitchen.
Period.
Love it. All right, Bailey, what do you want to share?
I don't think I'm going to share my personal stories because I feel like none of mine are PG. So I'm going to do this one. A nice viewer wrote this in. I kind of relate to this one because I feel like it kind of happened to me. So this is my story.
This is not your story.
Sorry, girl. So mid-intercourse, he picked up my vape and went, "Is this yours?" I was like, OMG, I'm so sorry. So I guess mid-intercourse, he just found her vape in the bed. And I feel like that's happened to me. I don't feel like anything's wrong with that.
Was it just floating around in the bed?
I'm pretty sure. I mean, I can ask her. Kidding. It was that crazy, but I feel like that could be embarrassing. It all could be embarrassing if he's vaping mid-intercourse. I feel like that would be worse.
That would be a crazy
If you see a
thing.
big, because you know those lights are big when I start puffing on vapes, you've seen it. Like a massive light and you're like, just like, oh, babe, this is so romantic. You just smell blueberry mint in your face. That's wild.
Brandon, what about you? You got a truth or a share?
I will do a share. This one's interesting. This is a Philly follower. She said, "This suitor of mine hit me up on a random Tuesday in college while I was studying and asked to come over. I said, sure, but I have a test tomorrow, so I can't hang for long. He Ubered all the way from Penn's campus to Temple. Maybe 2 minutes into the deed, he looks me dead in my eyes and says, I just feel like you give off really bad vibes. So I told him to get out of me and then out of my apartment. He had the nerve to ask why I wouldn't just let him finish. I almost changed my Tinder settings to women after that one." Well, what a fucking piece of shit.
I am flabbergasted.
Why would anyone say that like mid-act? Like if you get a vibe and you're like no longer into it, like stop yourself and like leave on your own. Don't say it in the middle and then expect the other person to like be into it. Like what? That's just like crazy behavior on his end. And then for him to be like, why won't you let me like finish? Like what the... Some men are just
just use her like a doll. No, it's
unbearable.
disgusting.
Yeah, that's the worst part.
That might have been like one of like the worst stories I heard in the comments that people submitted. Like
My phone's broken.
that makes me so upset.
That was dreadful.
What about you, Case?
This one, it's so funny. I feel like before we had a podcast, we're like, we're going to share everything about our personal lives. And then you have one and you're like, oh, I'm going to share anonymous stories. It's just, I have a boyfriend now. I'm in a different place in my life. So I'm going to share this viewer story. She said, oh my gosh. She said a guy wanted me to finger his bum and said there were gloves in the drawer. They were medical gloves. Can you imagine that moment? Like what? She left us on a cliffhanger. What did she do next?
Sense to me.
Like TSA role play. I can't imagine why you would have them in your bedside table.
Guys, I don't know. I feel like y'all are kink shaming.
No, it's,
No, I'm kidding.
That's why I said it makes sense to me.
I think if that
Everybody
you
gets
just gotta
some
like
That needs to
feel
be a
out the
discussion.
Yes.
Like, are you into this? Because I am. And I think that's a good lesson for people listening. There's nothing wrong. If you're dating a guy and he wants a finger up his butt, same. But that needs to be like discussed. Like, be like, hey, I'm into this, and would you be willing if you're not? I kind of thought the glove thing, like maybe it's a little weird. It's a little weird.
I think it's just weird for like no discussion prior to just whip that out. Like you got to know your audience. You got to make sure that she's cool with that. It's a nice into it. Yeah.
Can I just say one more thing? I don't know if you read the vape story from the Instagram DM or from the Instagram bubble.
Oh, only for the bubble.
But there's a little bit more to.
Oh, can you
to
please
her
read
story.
it? I was wondering because you're like, I was gonna read it. Oh, my fault.
So Sister Girl lost her vape in the bed. And this was written in an Instagram text box. So she ran out of space. She took it back to the DMs. And she let us know that he proceeded after to ask him if he wanted a hit, to which he said no. Then he proceeded to lecture her on lung safety and how his grandpa, unalived, of smoking, and how he vapes and is strictly not allowed in his room. And then she apologized a ton and threw it off the bed, and he continued to go to town after telling her that. So I thought the story just got a little bit worse. But I just want to push in there. It's not my turn.
Oh,
But just wanted to add
my
that.
God. If some man came into my bed, or I guess if I was, whatever, and he told me about the dangers of vaping, like it's on the fucking box, please. Like dangers of having sex, probably chlamydia spreading right now. Like, are you kidding me? There's whatever. I mean, obviously vaping is bad. Let me like say that. But like, no way, Josue. See how?
oh Lord.
I didn't like that one.
I have a question.
Okay.
Oh.
It's not my turn, but
No, yeah. This is fluid.
yeah, we don't have a turn. Okay, so this girl said, so I am 25, and almost every time I have sex with a guy, I get the ick shortly after. No matter if the sex is good, I'm
like
just
you.
not like as interested in them as I was before. My friends literally refer to me as an F-boy when it comes to these things. Advice, because I definitely don't want to stop being intimate with guys that I'm seeing, but my interest just immediately decreases.
Is it bad that I want to say they're not the right guys?
No, I feel like that's
Like,
I feel like it's, yeah.
you know what? I'll share some shit since we're being
This is what
a
we've been
little
waiting
appropriate. Because I want to have a discussion about body counts too.
Oh.
My body count is 30. There, y'all, all the girlies know it. And you don't even have to keep it between us girlies. Body number 30 is my
Tell your
boyfriend,
friend.
Josue. All 29 bodies before Josue gave me the ick. 100%. 100%. Got to Josue, didn't have the ick. Ring on my finger coming shortly. No, I'm kidding. But seriously, like, I agree with this girl. Like, a lot of times, like, maybe not after the first time, but like after 2 or 3, I'm like, all right, we're done with that. I can't. Because normally, like, they do some, like, first hookup could be like cut and dry, good bang session, they leave. Then the next time they stay at your apartment a little too long, or they start talking to you. They start telling you about their vape history. And then it's just like, you start to get annoyed with them or icked out by them, and you don't want to be around them anymore sexually or period. So I understand where this girl is coming from, but I would say, at least with my experience, which is different from everyone else's, that it probably wasn't the right person. Like, I don't think that's necessary. What I would say to her is maybe try, I don't even know what advice to give, like maybe try holding back a little bit sexually and like going on dates with people first, but maybe she's already tried that. Like, I don't know if anyone has good advice for her.
I feel like also trying to manage, like compartmentalize, I guess you could say. So if you're feeling like, if you go into something where you're like, I'm going to get the ick, I would go into it like completely open and then ask yourself if the ick is actually an ick or if you're just being too hard on yourself and that person. Again, you may have done that already, but just an idea.
No, I think that's a good idea. I think like in like a not negative way, like lower your expectations. And that's not to say like lower your standards and go do whatever, but like go into it being like, I have zero idea how this is going to turn out. And then if it's like still really bad, if there's like a glaring thing where you're like, wow, this is the exact reason I have the ick. But if you get done and you like can't pinpoint what the ick is, you just know you have it, maybe like reflect deeper and wonder if that's like something because I feel like I felt very similar ways, like even not even like hooking up, just like after finding out a guy like would like
I was gonna say this sounds like you said this.
Well, I'll be honest, I found a really dark reason why that happened. I was scrolling on TikTok one night and they were saying that sometimes if you have a lot of unhealed self like hatred or issues with yourself, you can get like grossed out by other people liking you because you're like, why would you like me? I'm really gross and I'm not attractive, which is like a really dark and twisted thing. But I did deal with this like before I met my boyfriend, where like any guy that liked me, I was like, ew, he's gross. Like I don't like him anymore. And I think it was because like I wasn't in the right place with myself.
Yeah. If you have the ick on yourself, then everyone who likes you is going to ick you out too. That happened to me too, Case. So I get it. I would like to hear everyone's thoughts on body count though. Does body count matter to you, like your partner's body count if you're dating them? Do you think there needs to be a discussion, or are you like, don't ask, don't tell? Like, what's your take on it?
I think that body count is a crazy topic for some people, and I don't think it should be. Like, I'm very, again, sex positive. What you've done in your past life doesn't affect the present unless you let it. So if that's behind you, it's behind me too. What am I going to chastise you because you had a run in college or in your young teens or your adult? I don't care. I don't care. As long as I don't have a disease and you're good to go, fine. And even if I loved you and you did have a disease and we needed to work around that, it's never happened to me, but I think I'm, again, very sex positive, so I wouldn't really care. My body count is in the low numbers, and that's fine. And, you know, sometimes you date people who have it in the high numbers. A number is a number, or whatever.
I feel like that monologue would be like a rap song. Like the outro, the intro of it. That was good.
Lindsay's count. We'll just call it that.
Wow,
Drake.
that's good. Yeah, hit her up.
Do you guys care about your partners?
It's so weird. I like thought I would. Like I feel like in past relationships, because I think I'm so open about like sexuality, and I think sexuality is so like fluid, like I was always so comfortable talking about it with anyone else. But like with Jake, like it's not that I'm not comfortable, it's just that I literally don't care. Like no one before him is even like a blip on my radar, and I like would like to think obviously that he feels the same way.
And
so
that's
it's
on
like
security.
Yeah, so it's like I don't really care. And it's not I don't care is like I'm jealous. It's just like I'd rather talk about the weather. Like I'd rather talk about any other topic than picture you doing something where I'm just like what you said, it's in the past. I don't really care anymore.
I love that.
Yeah.
Good for you guys. Mature.
But I don't think it's immature to talk about it.
No,
like
definitely not.
I think I think it's completely normal when people feel some type of way about body count. Like, I'll play devil's advocate here. It's not a personal feeling, but I completely understand. Like, if you feel that you're with somebody who's been with everybody, that can be like a really hard feeling to like swallow, I guess. Feeling like I'm sure we've all hooked up with someone who has been with a lot of people, and it's like you feel like a number. And like body count is something that shouldn't be a big deal, but when it does become like when you have to put a label on yourself, that can be really frustrating. So like diving into a relationship with somebody who has those, I guess, numbers, you're like, well, what number am I? Like, how many numbers are going to be after me, or how many were before?
And off of that, and if you're with someone who's and you're both open about sex, and like if they're like talking about their past hookups or whatever, and like you kind of like start to like count in your head, like, oh, they keep talking about all these past people, but what about the present here? Like, let's get back to like, why is it such a big topic for you and all these past hookups? Like something.
Yeah, like why do you feel the need to keep bringing it up?
Exactly.
Yeah. I see that.
All right, Bailey, you want to share a story?
Oh yes. Let me get out my Palm Pilot. So I like this one. So it's a gyno question, or it's a story, if you will. So not a sex story question. Okay, that's what it says. But when I was 17, I went to the gyno for the first time and needed a pap smear. Yes, everyone should get their pap smear every 3 years from your gynecologist. The nurse literally said, change, the doctor will be right with you. Well, naive 17-year-old me didn't know what she meant and got bare ass naked, tits out and everything. Then I went to grab the gown and realized There was only the tiny sheet to put on your lap because you don't need to be fully naked for a pap smear. Okay, so this only gets worse. My gyno I had been referred to left for maternity leave the day prior, and a first year male doc was filling in for her. He goes, knock, 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 coming in, and I froze. Didn't say a thing because he walks in on me completely naked, standing in the middle of the room like a deer caught in headlights.
Oh, bless her heart.
Oh,
For your first pap smear too, like you're already like
that is traumatic.
nervous. Oh, this poor thing. They don't tell you really how to like.
No, they do not at all.
They say,
Your
well,
mom,
they say open in
like,
the front,
tells you
right?
that.
Is it open in the front? Yeah.
It's like different everywhere.
I guess so, yeah.
I'm open in the front because
Okay,
they
yeah.
do the like breast exam too. when you go.
But like still, she didn't know.
Yeah, that's like so traumatic.
Oh, first year male doc. Oh,
My
God.
For the listeners who don't know, I have a ton of like fertility issues. So I'm always in the gyno, I'm always in a doctor. And for some reason, every time I go, they're like, by the way, we have a few med students shadowing today. Do you mind if they sit in on your appointment? So almost like every time I'm in the gyno, it's like me, my doctor, and 6 students watching in the corner. I'm dead ass.
That is like, that's something I totally relate to, not with sex, but I don't know if anyone's noticed this on camera, but my birthmark is on my face. And whenever I would go to the doctor, and I always felt like a freak because I had this like thing with me. And I would have like 6 residents in there at a time being like, let me look at your scalp. Like, bro, back up. I can't imagine if it was my hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even my first pap smear was actually in college at the student like center, the health center, because I got my birth
I
control.
didn't even know they had stirrups there.
Yeah, they did.
Put those legs up, girl.
And for the 4 years, I get a birth control shot. So I went to that same doctor's office. I was like a doctor's office, the health center at school. I was like a celebrity in there. So imagine these people I've been seeing for the past 4 years. And it was my last year, I think, or whenever you get your pap smear, doing a full exam, breasts, nipples out. I remember saying, you have a beautiful pink cervix. Like, I didn't have to hear that. But it's just such
All right,
a,
barely
like,
sharing now.
yeah, I guess that's my story. Yeah, but like it is a very uncomfortable experience. So like I can't imagine being 17.
I have a share on the flip side.
All right.
So I am BFFs with my gyno. Like that is my girl. Shout out Margie. Like she is absolutely a 10 out of 10. She knows everything about me. When I walk in, she's like, same guy? How we feeling? What's going on?
All right.
I, unlike Casey, having normal issues, have some interesting issues that I think are specific to me that are probably normal to other people. But I have always had issues with, we'll say, baking bread. A lot of girlies have this problem, but this is something
The
that I
girlies will
have-
know what that means.
Yes, that I have on a regular basis. And I like love the level of comfort I have when I walk into the gyno. I pray that the girl who wrote that in finds a Margie because it is so like comforting when you walk in. You're like, yep, I need the gel and I need the insert and then I'll be on my way. And she's like, it's fine, girly pop.
Can I get my regular?
I'll have the regular cocktail.
My number 2.
Yeah, I think that's to get a little deep. Like, I think it's important to have like a really good relationship with your doctor where like you feel comfortable being honest because it is important. Like, I remember when I was like 16, my pediatrician at the time was trying to give me a shot that like prevented me from spreading a certain disease to women. But I was in the back of my head, I'm like, I'm never going to have sex with a girl. I don't need this shot. And I felt so uncomfortable telling him that like I had to like figure out another reason to kind of be like, I'll do it another time, but I really don't want the shot today. And I actually ended up changing doctors after that, which was a good thing to do because I just didn't feel comfortable with him.
Did you tell your parents that or did you just like...
I hadn't told my parents that I was gay at that point, so I was just like, I'm terrified of needles, so it checked out. Like, I literally started shaking. That's why I was like, there's no way in hell I'm about to take this bullet. Like, fuck no. But I, like, told my mom, and I was just like, I really don't want to do that today. And then by the time I turned 17, I switched doctors, which was for the best. But when I had my current doctor, I was very comfortable with him being like, hey, like, I am sexually active, I'm gay, like I know that HIV is like a huge concern, like is there any medications I should be on? Like that was really important for me to have someone that I was comfortable talking about that with. So like how you have a good relationship with your gynecologist, like finding someone that you feel comfortable like sharing those details, like I know it feels awkward, but like it really is important to like be totally honest, like when they ask you, are you sexually active? Like say yes.
Yeah.
Like most adults do, like that. They're there to do their job and be professional.
I was gonna say, if they're medical professionals, they've heard it all. Like, it's crazy. I remember I had to call the gyno one time, like, say what I was saying over the phone. Like, it felt, I remember I went to my car, it felt so weird saying it, but I'm like, oh, I'm calling a doctor's office. They probably heard it all. People give birth. Like, it's not something to be ashamed of or anything.
Yeah.
So.
And I like, in that same regard, you have to be the biggest advocate for yourself. This is something I'm like so passionate about because I have endometriosis and I was undiagnosed for like 13 years. And if I didn't keep advocating and like saying that I had something wrong with me, I probably would still be undiagnosed now. So like being an advocate for yourself and like walking in and being like, yeah, I have this thing that I need to get checked out, or hey, I just want to get routinely STD checked. Like I actually wrote a letter to my gyno back in like college because I forget like why I was there so much. I was there for something else like regarding endometriosis, but like all 3 times that I went, I just got STD checked just because like whatever. It was like a routine thing. And on the last one, she was like, just so you know, you are entering the age of like, I don't know what I think I was like 23. So she was like, you know, just so you know, you're becoming 25. And at that age, we do consider casual sex like high risk. So you should really be like careful about how often you're getting tested. And I was like, what the fuck kind of comment was that? And I ended up like writing a letter to my doctor and being like, you're lucky that I actually don't care about this. But if another girl came in here and was like super anxious to get STD tested, you probably just scarred her for life. Like,
Oh, that's terrible.
yeah, my mom was like, you need to write them. And so I just emailed them. I was like, you need to make sure you change the wording because that's not how you talk
I
to
feel
people.
like it's also kind of helpful, though. I mean, I see your point, but
Yeah.
I feel like I didn't know that. Like, I feel like people don't know that 25 and over. I mean, I
And
guess I can
don't know if
understand.
that's like a like insurance thing. I have no idea like why she threw out that random number, but
I would have hated that.
yeah, it was
I
just
would
a
have
weird.
just said, as your body changes when you get older, be more aware.
It could have been put a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be
Yeah.
like, once you get old, your body count. Like, once you become an old hag, you better stop, settle down,
Yeah.
whore. Like, what?
That would have been nice.
Give this girl
Shame.
a scarlet letter. Yes.
I have one more, and then that's it for me on this segment. But I would love to hear your opinions on this. This person wrote in, I recently dated a guy who had issues with getting hard, but when he did get hard and was able to have Seggs, he would climax almost instantly. We slept together a few times, and it was a persistent issue to the point where I ended up breaking things off with him. I didn't tell him that was the reason because I don't know how you could tell somebody that, but the sex was just terrible. So I would love to hear 2 things on this. One, has obviously this ever happened to you guys where the guy that you were hooking up with was having issues with that? And 2, is that something you can address and fix? And if so, how? Or is it a deal breaker?
As Lizzo says, truth hurts.
I don't know. I think that is a really case by case situation. Like I could see maybe, I don't know. I could see an argument where it's like, it's good to tell him like it's nice. And then I can see the side of it being like,
Get nasty. Your dick can't get hard. You come fast.
like it's, I don't know.
But you don't know what you don't know.
So you're saying don't tell him because like
He doesn't know, so he doesn't.
True.
you know what I'm
I see what
saying?
you're
I
saying.
think we're talking as girls right now.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not a man, or I've not dealt with this issue, but I feel like the same things that girls get really insecure about, like even as little as like shaving, guys might get insecure about like, what if this happens too fast? So like, I would give him some grace until a period of time rolls around. If you're going to continue to be with this person and you like them, maybe it's time for them to see their doctor. Maybe it's time for a
that's what I was
woman's
gonna
swab.
say.
Yeah, like
A grown-up conversation.
it's kind of on them to some degree. It's not like he doesn't know that it's an awkward thing.
Yeah.
If you care, you
Yes.
care to maintain that relationship. If it's just you don't give a rat's ass.
If he's crossing off all of your other boxes and you view him as if that problem didn't exist, I would date him, then I think it's worth having a conversation being like, listen, this isn't that satisfying for me. Obviously be super kind about how you go about it because he literally could have ED. And then maybe he just needs to go to a doctor, get some pills, and then boom, it can fix everything. So I think if you are interested in that person, it's okay to have a conversation and politely bring it up. But if you really don't see things going anywhere else, there's other issues. Yeah, I would do what this girl did and just be like, I'm done. Sorry.
Yeah, I feel like sex in general is a big part of relationships, at least to the 4 of us. And like I couldn't date somebody who I'm not like intimate with.
I also think how it matters, like after they climax, is important because there are selfish lovers where like when they're done, the sex is done. Like they roll over, they go on their phone, and it's like you could be sitting there like, so what about me? Whereas if they kind of like get shy and embarrassed and then like they pleasure you other ways, like maybe that's something you can work around.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could give them a compliment sandwich. Be like, things are so good. I just wish they would last longer. Like, there's nice ways you can say it.
Oh, you're gonna be an excellent mother.
Does anyone else want to share or answer? I feel like we've covered a lot of good topics.
Yeah,
there.
I think we broke it down.
I think the one thing to remember is like everybody has crazy, weird sex stories. Like this, our DMs were flooded with people telling a weird story. Like, don't be embarrassed or shamed by yours because either somebody's had the exact same one or somebody's had something crazier. So.
Yeah.
And it adds for a great party joke.
Yep.
Party story.
100%. And to our viewers and listeners, if you liked this conversation and you want us hear us dive into deeper things about this, we would love to do a part 2. We're just kind of experimenting here. Maybe we'll get more comfortable. The problem is a lot of our friends and family listens to this, so we're being a little shy. But I think we all shared enough.
Yeah.
But if this is something you're like, please do another episode in a few weeks about it, we would love to do it again and kind of get more topics aligned.
Yeah, I feel like we approached this with a really broad attack. Like we just talked about sex, but like if we broke it down, if the viewers are interested and we break it down more, we can definitely talk about different aspects of it.
Yeah. But we'll be back next weekend with a really fun, we'll be back next week with a really good weekend recap because we're going to have a weekend. And a whole new set. We'll be bringing back the pyramid rankings and the immunity necklaces. But until then, keep everything we said between us, girlies.
Yes. Wait, I just want to say real quick, thank you to our 500 subscribers on YouTube. I think it's 514 at this point. But thank you for everyone for liking, commenting, subscribing, following, and all of that. We really appreciate your support. And yes,
Thank
keep it
you
between
guys.
us, girlies, and spread the cheer.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.